Hello, hi, welcome or welcome back to my channel. My name is Rachel. Today we're going to dive into, drumroll please, the Athr Beauty Desert Sunset palette. Again, I'm never going to be the first person to review something, but I wanted to give a dedicated review to this eyeshadow palette because it brings me so much joy and happiness. So if that sounds good to you and you want to learn more about this palette and watch me put together a look because I'm very blank right now, I hope you'll stick around, hang out, and let's go ahead and jump right in. All right, I'm coming very blank face. I did my base with the Chantecaille, Kosas, and Wall People, like I always do, and then the brows with Kosas. This brow wants to be like fluffy today. I'm gonna fix her, I'll be right back. Okay, that's a little better. I'm trying to get in the habit of fixing things before I sit down to edit. I'm like, girl, you're a mess. So anyway, we're gonna break down the palette. I'm gonna do a demo. We'll go through swatches, prices, about the brand, and then I also want to bring in a few elements of like my personal history with makeup, because it all kind of ties together, and that's why I wanted to do a very dedicated video to this palette and why it means so much to me. So let's go ahead and do our demo. We're gonna do a look that is kind of a go-to look. The history that is involved in this is a look that I did all the time in college. I'm a smoky eye kind of girl. I love the dimension it gives my eyes. You can see I have very round eyes, big from this standpoint. So I like to take that down a little bit and then extend them out just to kind of balance the proportions on my face. So this is a look that I'll do for that. Granted, this is a little bit more grown up than what I used to do in college because she was almost in full drag, which is totally fine, but my skin doesn't look the same as it did 10 years ago. So we're gonna do a slightly more grown up look. So the first shade I'm gonna go into is Desert Sand here. And I'm gonna start building my crease. And I don't want to kind of be all over the place, but we'll talk about formula kind of as I'm applying these. I love her mattes. I've talked about this in some other videos. I like to do a windshield wiper motion or small circular motions to blend. Not every matte likes to be blended that way. I don't have the mindset where people kind of like tap and place the product and then tap to blend. I like my eyeshadow looks to be very impactful, but I can get them done very quickly. I used to love having infinite amount of time to throw together a look, but that's not the world that I live in anymore. So I like to be able to whack it on, buff it out, and it be good to go. So you can see, like, perfect. Love the mattes in this. Cannot say enough good things. So the next, what I've been doing is I will take, let's see what shade this is. I think, yeah, this Sunrise shade, and I'm going to go all over the lid with that. And what I used to lay down the crease was the MAC 217. No surprise, they don't make this exact one anymore. They do make a 217, but it is synthetic. It is not goat hair, and the goat hair from 10 plus years ago that I'm still using is just the best. So now I'm going to go in with a flat shader brush. This one is from the Jaclyn Hill Morphe collection. My other ones are dirty. It works fine. I don't want to be affiliated with Morphe. Okay, so I'm going to go all over the lid with this one. And her shimmers are so beautiful. They're another one where she really does a great job of kind of packing a lot of different colors into her shimmers. And they lay down very nicely with a brush, which I appreciate because I don't always want to be sticking my finger in eyeshadows, especially when I have longer nails. It's just more difficult to do. And I also hope that this mirror placement is a little bit better. I need to get a new mirror that I can kind of sneak up right next to the camera so you guys can see what I'm doing. I'm hoping that this is a little bit better than previously. That shade is just gorgeous, and you could clearly just leave this here. It's so pretty. I mean, finish the inner corner and then mascara, but such a pretty shade. But I like to lay that down as kind of the base, because then what I'm going to do next is I'm going to go in with the shade Eternal right here. And I'm going to pack that on the outer half. That's my bad. This is why you should be careful when picking up product and tap it off. It's also this brush. This brush is maddening. So I'm just going to do that. And I like to do it at kind of an angle, almost like I'm mimicking that strong wing that I do. And then we'll blend out after we place that down. Yep, that looks good. So then I'm going to go back in with that first of all, I'm going to clean up that fallout, and I might even edit that out because she does not deserve that. These shadows do not do that. It's that brush. And I should have known to be more careful with that brush. Okay, blendy, blendy. Just get the harsh edges out like that. You can see we're starting to build kind of that smoky outer section. And we're going to continue to build that with some of these other shades. See, it's like touch the brush, blended, you're done. I always appreciate an easy formula like that. All right, so then I'm going to go in with a pencil brush. This one is the Beauty Pie Shape and Smudge eyeshadow brush. The pencil is on, there we go. The pencil is on this side, and then if you flip it over, you have a nice smudger brush, which I appreciate. This is a nice brush. And I'm going to now go in with this Mesquite shade, this dark brown here. I'm going to start really building up my eyeline and a little bit of a wing out here. I'll place down kind of like a small eyeliner line. I'm going to really build that up. I like to build rather than just try to lay down everything at once. I talk about that in another video, and it cracks me up because I was like,
I like to build. It's just like cutting fabric.
And then I get, like, gash a huge dark line. You know? Do as I say, not as I do. But I try to do it. I do. I like to build. So now I'm going to go in and create a flick like that. Some days it's bigger, some days it's not. And I'll just connect it there so that I have a little bit of a wing. And for this, when I do my eyeliner, the shape is always changing, but basically the goal is that when I'm looking straight on, I want to see a little bit of a wing. Depending on how frisky I am that day is how big the wing is. Or like how easy I'm able to concentrate and blend things out. And we're going to blend that out a little bit too, but I'm going to go ahead and do the same on the other eye. I also hope the lighting is okay today. It's very dreary here, which is why we busted out this headband. Lele Sadugi has my whole heart. She understands the girls that need crowns in their life. So, all right, now that we have done that, I am going to go in with this Eternal shade again and just blend that out, and I'll probably continue to build between that and that Mesquite matte brown just until I get the smokiness that I want. So we'll kind of fast forward through that. And now I just want to take a little bit more of that very first shade that we laid down, that Desert Sand, and just kind of continue to buff out those edges. And a really fluffy brush is really going to help with that. Just kind of blow it out. Like so. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Look how blank the rest of my face is. All right, now that we've done that, we're gonna go into the very best part, which is the Twilight shade up top. This is the best inner corner highlight, especially if you are as light as me, which is hilarious. My husband's 95-year-old grandmother just told me that I need to get outside more. We're aware. She's the sweetest lady. That is not disparaging. I swear. I just applied that inner corner highlight and did a whole spiel about it and it didn't record. So what I did is I took a flat brush, again like this. Again, all of my good flat brushes are dirty, but I like to start and build in the inner corner on both sides so that I don't get, I don't want to darken what I've just done. So then after I've laid down the color, I will blend it into the next shadow on my lid. And I like a very, very bright inner corner for two reasons. I like my eyes to remain open because I am trying to build a different shape by kind of taking away some of this lid space and elongating them. So I do want to keep them open, especially in the inner corner. But I also have very deep set eyes, and the deepest part of my eyes is right here in this corner. So I want to bring that forward as much as possible. And for me, that means it's gonna have to be a lot of brightness because we're fighting the shadow from this point, the shadow from this point. So I really need that to be bright. And I really appreciate that the inner corner highlight in this palette, when you swatch it on your hands, which we'll get into in a minute, this color right here, it looks peachy beige, but on my eyes, it is so brightening, and that is so hard for me to find. So I love that. But now that we've kind of finished this look as far as eyeshadow goes, I'm going to go ahead and zip through the rest of my face. I didn't apply any blush or bronzer because I'm not sure what direction I want this to go in, but I do have Chantecaille on and a tiny bit of concealer. We're going more natural on the base today. My skin's really been through it lately. This is finally starting to heal, and then that item concealer breakout on my freaking eyelid is going away. So we're letting her kind of chill. But anyway, sorry for the rant. Let's put the rest of our face on, then we'll come back, talk pricing, swatches, memory lane, all of the good fun things. Okay, so let's go ahead and talk about the palette, then we'll talk about the company. I'm gonna throw some little memory lane stories in there as well. I finished my makeup, I'll leave the details down below. This is not the exact look I did in college that we'll get to, but it is very much the same effect, the same kind of color story. But this palette retails for $48, which is kind of pricey for an eyeshadow palette, but you do get a decent amount of product. There's 12.5 grams in this palette, so you're getting a decent amount of shadow. The colors are beautiful. The formula is outstanding. It really lasts on my eye as well, especially if you wear an eyeshadow primer. They're not going anywhere, even without. They'll stick around all day. The ethics and the conscientiousness, of this brand, or like the kind of social responsibility that they've taken on themselves, is incredible. Tyler, the founder, has been working in the product development in beauty for I think over a decade, and she kind of broke out to create this company. And you'll see there's no mirror in this palette. That's because this palette is 100% recyclable. The eyeshadow tins can be taken out and recycled, and then this cardboard packaging can be recycled. And it still feels high quality without all of the plastic, the glass for the mirror, all of that. It still feels so nice. And I love even just the outside packaging. Also includes all of the shade names on the back, which I love. And unlike Olivia Palermo, she has the colors. So yes, it's reversed to what you're looking at, but it's so helpful that she included the colors on here, especially if you're talking about them. But amazing company. Tyla, I don't know if she remembers this, but this is partially some of the memory lane discussion. Back in 2018, I started a beauty Instagram, and I was really diving into natural makeup. Now, natural, clean, whatever you want to call it. I had gone super all natural. Was even making some of my products myself in 2013. Kind of fell out of it a little bit, and then through my PCOS diagnosis, we were kind of switching up my lifestyle in ways to help those hormones rebalance. So I dove back into more clean brands. It's always just kind of been an ethics game for me too. So a lot of the clean brands have better ethics, supposedly. Some of them do. Anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself. So she had reached out to me when I had that Instagram account, and she was so lovely to talk to. It was a very brief conversation, But even seeing other creators speak on their interactions with her and seeing interviews of her, the videos on her website, the Instagram, she's just a lovely person. I'm more than happy to support. And this is not my first product with Athr, but I'm over the moon with this color story because in college I did a look very similar to this. It was much more smoky, but this is a deep cut dupe and a throwback. 2010. Pulled this out of my archives. I have this because I've been trying to swatch it since they switched the formula. I will make a video about this formula and my plea for bringing it back, but I used mostly this warm-ish brown side here. You can see the one that I'm trying to dupe the most is this inner corner highlight because they're never light enough for me. While these colors are not exact dupes for that palette, the overall look is the same, and a look that I've been trying to recreate for going on 10 years now. And nuance in color is so important, and that palette was very nuanced. This palette is extremely nuanced. She gives you pops of color. She gives me even plummy colors that I love to play with, but then she lives kind of in that greenish, mustard, mucky brown, and she's giving you colors to really build up with, and then something that's super bright even for someone as fair as I am. And look, I've already dented this quite a bit because I can pull this out with the majority of the looks that I'm doing and know that I can get the bright inner corner that I like, much like the Hindash white color. So I am going to go ahead and run through some swatches of these, and then also shout out that if you do not want to spend $48 on a big palette like this, if a lot of colors at once kind of throw you off your game, she does offer quads, and she no longer offers this one, which is such a shame because they pair beautifully, and this really brings some of these colors more into the green side of that Wet n Wild palette. This is the, I should probably say what it is. It's the Topaz Mini, but she has a citrine and I think like a rose quartz that are available for $20. So a good place to start if you want to test out the shadows or you like a more condensed color story. But yeah, let's get into swatches. All right, so let's run through some swatches. Bear with me, I'm a swatch newbie. I have hairy arms, I'm a mammal, what can I say? We're gonna go with it. Hopefully these will suffice. I'm gonna have to hold the palette as I go through this. So here we go, back up just a little bit. So up by my wrist is that Twilight shade, that inner corner shade. If you see what I mean, when I swatch it, it looks very, like it's not going to be very brightening. It is like a beigey peach. Super brightening on the eye though. Then this is also a testament to like swatches don't always translate the exact same way that they're going to on the eye. The next one is one of my favorite colors in this palette, which is Desert Sand. It is that beautiful mustardy brown that has like yellow and green in it. It's just gorgeous. Then next we have the Golden Hour, which is gorgeous. Kind of like these two together would be so pretty because they run in the very same family. Then next I have Sunshine. That's what I put all over my eyes. Sunshine is such a beautiful name and appropriate name for that. It has like fiery orange gold. I would love to swatch this next to that Olivia Palermo shade that I talk about in that one video. I bet that rose gold shade is similar to this, although that is like very like liquid metal, whereas this is like more glittery almost in a good way. Then the next shade I have is the Afterglow. Yeah, Afterglow. This is where she plays on some of that plumminess and she picks up some of the pink that's in that next color, which is so fun. But this kind of bridges the gap between all of these shades and then this next shade, which is Desert Coral. What a fun shade. I need to play with that. But you could pair that with this easily because of that like pinky purple reflectiveness that's in there. And then she also gives you this beautiful, what is that? Sunset shade, which is so gorgeous. Again, another like 2 eyeshadow look. This would be absolutely gorgeous. And then because I'm not a swatch queen, I put the last 3 on this hand. At the top we have Mesquite, then we have Eternal, and then we have Sedona. Sedona is a very reddish brown that is beautiful. I love that color, but she always there's always like a hint of some kind of nuance to these, that it's red, but it almost leans the tiniest bit kind of plummy to me. Like it's not just your traditional red brown. And then this Eternal shade is just stinking gorgeous. This is really where there's overlap with that Wet n Wild palette, but this is where we get into some of her shimmers that look more liquidy metal or foiled, whichever you want to call it. And then this Sedona color, this is my favorite color to build along the lash line. It is dark, it gives definition, it can be blown out very easily, but it also is not a stark black. So if you like a smoky eye, but you don't want to be rocking black eyeshadow every day, and as you can see, like, you can build it up to be quite dark, but in today's look, I kept it pretty light. It's just a wonderful palette. I love it so much. The colors are just so beautiful, and please remember that I am very fair with slightly yellow to green undertones. Even though I have a lot of redness in my face, that's like rosacea and stuff. But just keep that in mind. It is almost like swatching on a ivory paper. So hopefully this helps you with colors. I'm like somewhere in between a Hannah Louise Poston and a khaki in terms of fairness, lightness, whatever you want to call it. So, yep, there's the swatches. We talked about the brand. We talked about going down memory lane from my old school Instagram, which is no longer public. And then this palette, we got to talk about this palette at another date. But all in all, that is why I am just so very over the moon about this eyeshadow palette. This is going to look great on so many skin tones. There's just that underlying touch of understanding of skin tones, what complements skin tones, what undertones run through a lot of different skin tones, what makes a color look native and at home on your skin. And it's not just brown, red brown. There is a level of intelligence built into the color theory behind all of her eyeshadows, and I would love to look into more of the brand. But yeah, I can't recommend this enough. The ethos of the company, the founder's amazing, the products perform. The price is a little high, but check her site. She runs sales, Sephora sales. There's also Credo sales. They all offer up to like 20% off or more potentially. Check that out. I hope that you'll at least look into her. She's doing amazing things in the makeup industry from a manufacturing and sustainability standpoint, which is incredible. We just talked about a little bit of that in the fashion world, but a lot of it can be said for the beauty world as well. So thank you, Tyla. Love this. I hope everyone has an outstanding day and this wasn't all over the place. I'm in an all over the place kind of mood. I got my crown to keep me somewhat focused today. Like this makes me feel like I have it all together and I'm more fabulous than I am, and I'm obsessed. So I hope you find the thing that does that for you and centers you, and have a lovely day. I'll stop rambling. Hope you enjoyed this look. Let me know if you understood the deep cut formula that I'm talking about on the Wet n Wild, and if you'd like to see any more looks with this palette, happy to do so. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Bye.